Hello and welcome. How is everyone doing on what I hope is a fantastic March the 8th, 2022 for this last episode of SeaQuest 2032. How you doing tonight, John?
Good. How about you?
I'm doing pretty good. Pretty good. Just being my usual easily distracted self and almost missing the start time completely instead of slightly. I mean, a few seconds. I at least started the stream on time. I just didn't transition on time. I think that counts. I'm just going to keep patting my failures, you know?
Uh-huh. Right.
If I didn't take the win on a failure, I don't think I'd ever get a win. So you got to do what you got to do. But I hope that everyone is having a good evening. We will be doing one last Tuesday night get together for SeaQuest, and that's going to be our season 3 and retrospect that we've done for season 1 and season 2. And that will be next week. In fact, let me make sure about that because I'm pretty sure I looked at my schedule. Yeah, so next week is still open, and then the week after that is when I teach again. So that works perfectly. We'll do one more of these, and then after that, unfortunately, it is still going to be kind of up in the air on the Babylon 5. I still want to do it with Professor Brainy Specs. It's just a matter of getting my timing right because things are picking up. And as much as I've enjoyed doing this, I enjoy being employed much, much more, unfortunately. And the way my business goes, everyone else does all their stuff. And then they sit around going, well, why isn't the program done? I'm like, well, because the electrician had to do all his stuff before I could know what my stuff was. So unfortunately, that means it's a lot of me sitting around and then a lot of me just going, max speed to get everything done in time. So unfortunately, it is going to be a little iffy on my time schedule here in the future. But thankfully, we're getting SeaQuest done just in time, which, John, goodness knows I almost ruined that this season. It's a short season, and I still almost managed to not get this done. How many episodes is it? 13? 13 episodes.
13, yes.
Oh my goodness. I'm sorry, guys. I don't know why y'all put up with me, but I'm thankful that you do. Josh Street, how you doing tonight? See you here in the chat saying Dolphin Boy is late again. Technically, yes, by a few seconds. John, when are you going to stop using that late Kurogan orphan miner, Dolphin Boy, and get the lovely Life with Amy as your co-host? She would definitely be the more pleasant one to look at between the two of us. However, she has no interest. I'm sorry, Josh. She has no interest on reviewing SeaQuest. Now, maybe if I could ever convince her to do this for like what's the name of it? Downton Abbey. Get her to do watch parties for that. I don't think this is the right audience for it, but I am sure she would be extremely interested in doing a watch party for Downton Abbey. In fact, that's one of the things where apparently they have a new Downton Abbey movie coming out this year or something. And that's one of the few things where she's like, okay, Matt, you do all these weird sci-fi things and Marvel things. This is my opening night I get to go to coming up here at some time in, I don't know, the next couple months, maybe summertime, probably. Josh Street saying you should dump me. Amy is never late. This is true. This is true. How are you doing tonight, Professor Bernie Specs? Glad to see that you're here. I'm so bad about reading through the chat because you guys show up early, and then I feel bad because I skip down. And like everyone's saying hi, I don't need to say hi to each other. And then I see something where there's like, oh well, you're wrong. I'm like, wait, what are we talking about? I missed it because I'm being a bad host. And the answer is yes, I'm being a bad host.
But what else is new?
Not a thing. Salty Trekker is here. How you doing tonight, Salty Trekker? And Thomas Potts, glad that you are able to make it. Robert Rose Jr., glad you are here with us tonight. And the Multi-Gunman. I see everyone is heading over this way. Did Salty stream over on Twitch just in? I feel like it may have. Salty Trucker, I think I was just answering this. No, Babylon 5 does not start next week. We are going to do a season 3 retrospective, and then we'll have to see where things are after that. I didn't say Down Abbey. I said Downton. I just said it with my southern drawl. It comes out from time to time. Except it's less of a southern drawl and more of just like I get lazy halfway through a word and it kind of off at the end.
I can see that.
But I did say Down Abbey. I do know the name of that show. It's come up from time to time in this house. Anyways, we are going to get started in just a second. Maybe if I remember to actually put a link to the watching room, that might help a little bit. And just as a heads up, guys, tonight is the one time a month Amy gets to. That sounds so stupid on my part. Like I prevented her from doing these things. I do this to myself, John. You don't even have to try. Like I word things so poorly. Tonight is the once a month that the ladies have a Bible study at our church. So every Thursday we have a small group that gets together and does a Bible study. But in addition to that, just the ladies get together and they do a ladies' Bible study. And this was the week that they do it. So if one of my kids start crying, I'm going to have to jump off here. But don't worry, you will be in the extremely capable hands of John.
I don't know about that, but we'll see.
Oh, we both know you are definitely the more mature and capable one here. But in the meantime, hopefully, I mean, the kids usually don't wake up anymore at this point. It's just they know Amy's not here, and they all fuss about it. It's so funny. Like every other night of the year, I put the kids to bed, and there's some slight fussing, but whatever. And then the night Amy's not here, that's night everyone's just blowing up. Oh, why isn't mommy here? I miss mommy. I'm like, guys, we do this every night. Why is this so different?
Because they know they're stuck with just you.
I mean, it is a good reason for crying. We only have daddy. We're doomed. I do tell Amy this from time to time. Like, I'll come home after sometimes every other week I go and set up early at the church because we're meeting in an elementary school. So I help set up the audiovisual stuff. And I get home after that and I find that Amy left the coffee pot on or something. And I'm like, okay, Amy, if I were to die, like garbage would never go out. The house would burn down, stuff like that. If Amy were to die, the whole family would be screwed. Like, if I were to die, the worst that would happen is that things wouldn't keep working. If Amy were to die, the family would just fall apart without my wife. She is definitely the glue that binds us together. Multi-Gunman is saying, Amy, blink twice if you need to save us from Matthew. How quickly does she have to blink? Did your screen just go zzz, zzz?
I didn't see anything.
Weird. Like I swear it went dark for a second. I could have sworn I even heard like a little electrical crackle. Apparently I'm having auditory and visual hallucinations. I think that's a bad... is that a sign of the vid? I feel like everything's a sign of the vid nowadays.
Probably.
Except heart issues. Everything except heart issues are a sign of the vid, according to the CDC, I'm pretty sure. Or Biden, one of the two.
Well, they're never wrong.
Never. Oh, gosh. Robert Rose Jr. saying, watching Hogan's Heroes on MeTV. I actually like MeTV. Do they have a web portal, or is it just streaming over the airs? It's one of those channels where it's not on your cable lineup for some reason. It's just over-the-air TV, and it gets all sorts of great stuff. Old westerns, MASH, the whole 9 yards. It's great. Yeah, the vid is extinct. I'm not sure if that's true, Thomas. A professor saying that I'm finding new ways not to do his streams. Is that what it is? I am horribly horrible. Yeah, I'm gonna leave the sentence there. I'm horribly horrible. So
You say that again.
like, I don't need to quantify it. That's it. Not at something. Not in some respect. Just blanket. Boom. Horribly horrible. I don't know why Michael puts up with me. Like, I don't get it, Salty Trekker. You could have much, much better people hanging out with you. Yeah, the broken leg equals the vid, migraine equals the vid, stub toe, the vid. Oh, what is the red-orange glow behind me? Is it my face? is it So I did this little view screen background for my background. It's supposed to be the SeaQuest bridge. So it might be a random light. It's definitely not the sunrise. A little on the early side for that. So anyways, this is how it works, guys. I know you've been through this, but if for some reason your first time is like the last one we ever do, here's how it goes. I've pinned a link over in the chat to our screening room. This is only going to be applicable while the stream is going on. So if you're here, click on that link, come join us, and all it does is it synchronizes all of our watch times together so that we're not having to worry about pause and start and, you know, you're 5 minutes ahead, I'm 2 seconds behind, stuff like that. Thomas is starting to get a headache. Is it my fault, Thomas? If you're here in the future, do I have to ask? No. I haven't even started saying oh, that's right. I'm supposed to get every single name right tonight. Or come Saturday night, I honestly don't know if... Let's look at my schedule here. That might work. It might work. If I don't get every name right, I'm supposed to do like Phasmophobia this Saturday night. I think, or the other one, the Left 4 Dead 2. So I'm gonna try. I should have paid better attention to names because all I can think of is the actor's name and what I've been calling him, but I can't think of his actual
Well, your Saturday evening is free then.
I'm screwed. I'm so screwed on this. Oh my goodness. Like I was saying, guys, if you don't want to go to the screening room, you're here in the future, maybe, what you can do is you can go to peacocktv.com and you can sign up for one of their free accounts to be able to watch this just using your own account on Peacock TV. It is free. That's why I keep shilling out for them. But if you don't want to do that, we still got you covered. Maybe you only have the one screen. Maybe you're watching this on your cell phone. Maybe you just don't want another online streaming service, even if it is free. Then what you can do is you can look right down here. I've created clips where once every 5 seconds or so, it's going to grab just a still image and put that up on the screen as a reference point. There should be no sound. If there is sound, please let me know so I can mute it, because there should be zero sound coming out as part of this stream. Well, video sound. You should hear John and me, but you shouldn't be hearing the SeaQuest video. And that's the 3 ways to do this. So you can watch it live with us. You can watch it in your own time by buying some DVDs or Blu-rays or going to peacocktv.com, or you can just look at the clips. Any way you like it, that's the way you get it. Any way you want to be. And yes, Josh, looks like I will be doing Left 4 Dead 2 or Phasmophobia this weekend. We'll see. We'll see. I actually know all their names except for one character's. We'll see if I can catch it in time. Sometimes I'll probably find a way around it. Yeah, you know, like maybe, I don't know, maybe someone will have an emergency. You know, my sister-in-law, she has been in the hospital for the past little bit. So maybe I'll have to suddenly go up and see her and my brother. Even though she literally was just discharged today, so there's no reason why I would need to. But you never know. Something could come up. Yeah, ha, Michael. Great. Very hilarious. You're so funny. There is a horrible sound. I hear this nasty voice of some idiot talking. Thank you. Right here, my friend. This is where you touch me, right in my heart.
Speaking of being touched, I love the idea of the John DiMarco Darwin Tribute Center.
Yeah, amazingly, Darwin not in this episode. A great episode for him to have been in, and they didn't have him. So I am going to go ahead and get this started. Everyone should have had a chance to make their way over to the screening room. So I'll give you a quick 3 count. So if you're trying to hopefully be around the same point we are, this is the best I can give you. So here we go, everyone. Hit that play button in 3, 2, 1, 0. And hey, Cinnabon Bunny, how are you doing tonight? 54 Access Radio, glad you're here with us. And yes, I apologize. Spoilers. Spoilers that there is no Darwin in this episode. So Piccolo wants O'Neill to join him for a card game with Lucas. First hurdle crossed right there on the names. Because apparently Lucas, he counts cards. Why wouldn't he count cards? I mean, why wouldn't anyone count cards? That's a skill even I want to pick up. Oh, and maybe I should hit play on the clips instead of being a doof.
That would help.
But O'Neill, he says, no, I'm not going to join you for cards. I need to go talk to this lady. Apparently, he's found true love somewhere. But they're not showing each other's faces yet. They're only talking, and they are such dorks that they're only going to talk in random languages. They start off in French, and then Spanish, and now she's like, oh, I'm bored of Spanish. What if I speak to you in German? O'Neill asks. He goes, well, only if you promise to invade my borders. And he's like, nine. And yes, Josh, hopefully you see screenshots now. And apparently O'Neill has not been a big fan of the captain. He's been complaining a lot about him to his lady friend.
You know, they have kind of butted heads a couple times over the course of the season.
And he's going to meet her in about 2 hours and 58 minutes. And that's when they're going to do the face reveal. Because this whole time, even though they have vid phones, they've done 0 face-to-face communications. Just video chats, or just audio chats. But of course, even though they're just under 3 hours from meeting each other, some emergency happens. And so he's going to have to cancel. They're getting a mayday from a base somewhere. Yes, Thomas, his lady friend, but only online. And of course, as soon as O'Neill comes into the room, Captain Hudson is a little curt with him. Like, maybe this is why O'Neill doesn't really like being with him, being near him. So the colony, or base rather, is asking for immediate assistance. So they, atomic turbines to power, engines to speed. It's Bird of Prey 5. It could have been. You never know. Josh wants to know, why didn't they have me in this episode? Because I would have been too young. to be on SeaQuest. I mean, I could have been one of those sniveling kids in the sub. One of the sub episodes where they're stuck in the sinkhole.
Farewell to Darwin is the only appearance in the credits.
Yep, that's it. Which, I'm kind of surprised they didn't do more with him this season. Maybe it's just the model broke down and they couldn't get repaired in time, or decided it wasn't worth it.
I think part of it was that Ironside was interested in doing a whole lot with Darwin.
I mean, it makes sense. It was Bridgers.
Mm-hmm.
So Hudson wants to see if there's any enemy vessels out there, but Lucas says no, there's nothing. I mean, whoever did it is probably long gone. Even though SeaQuest went at maximum speed, I mean, it took them quite a long time to actually get to this base. And Ford's pointing out that the station defense perimeters are completely intact. Whoever did this was so good and knew exactly what to do that they were able to bypass the base defenses. Like, they didn't have to try and do a countermeasure against them. They didn't need to blow them up. They could just fly straight through, hit the targets they need to target, and then get out of there before they could even respond.
Whoever it was knew exactly where to hit us.
Thomas, Matthew was told to report to SeaQuest, and I went to Quest Diagnostics. I could see me doing that. Now, O'Neill is complaining that this is the first date he's had in 11 years, which I believe he's referring to his date with Henderson back in season 2, the one where he was kind of rude to her and got ice cream dumped on him.
Uh-huh.
But I think that's cheating. Because...
Yeah, I know. It hasn't been 11 years for him.
Yeah. They've been making this joke several times. Like, oh, it's been 11 years since so-and-so. But as far as they're concerned, it's been a couple months. I mean, maybe it's been a year at this point. Let's see. Michael is saying, I think it's because the producer of this show, Frank Bennett, is known for his bigotry directed at dolphins. Matthew, you would not know Frank, would you? There's a lot of Bennetts out there. I can't know them all. So we've talked about Micronesia. They've been a major plot point throughout this series, or season rather. This is the first time we're hearing about a new military power called the Chow Dai. And they are it seems like if Micronesia is kind of the southern Asian places, maybe some of the Pacific Islands as well, that the Chow Dai are the northern countries, based on what we see from the rest of this episode. And Chow Dai is Chinese, excuse me, for dynasty. And they didn't like the fact that this base, it was kind of like the plot with Star Trek Enterprise. You thought it was a Vulcan monastery. Turns out it was a listening outpost spying on the Andorians. The base was specifically there to spy on the Chow Dai dynasty. And we think that maybe it was retaliation because they didn't like being observed. So O'Neill is, he's upset and he's talking to his girlfriend, his online girlfriend, about the problems and how he's sorry he won't be able to see her. And she reveals that, she couldn't wait any longer to see him. She stole a sub and she's on her way to see him. And he's like, are you insane? We're in the middle of a military thing. You can't come here. And she's saying that, she has no more, she's almost out of fuel. She can't get back. You have to tell her where he is. So he's saying, transmit your coordinates, and he's going to try and meet up with her somehow. So at least he has some presence of mind. He's not just going to reveal his exact coordinates to someone he never met in real life.
Right.
But he is at least going to get her coordinates and then go out to meet her. Now it's interesting because the lieutenant is shown there still wearing her neural inhibitor chip. But in the last episode, wasn't it broken off? Or I thought she stopped wearing it.
I kind of got that impression, but maybe they replaced it.
Maybe she just lowered the blockers a little bit, because she did seem a little more emotional, like emoting, I should say, less robotic. So they're saying this sounds like something that I would get into. What sounds like something I'd get into? You might be right. So O'Neill is saying that he has some leave saved up, and he's going to use his shuttle pass to, he's off. He's off duty. He's just going to go for a stroll under the sea in a shuttle. And Piccolo's like, that's a technicality, and we both know it. We are not in a situation where you're just allowed to go out and take a gentle stroll in the sub. And O'Neill's willing to just throw away everything. Oh, online dating? Is that what it was, Salty? So O'Neill's just ready to throw it all away, and he's warning Piccolo he's going to pull the docking clamp. And Piccolo's a good friend. He's like, well, I'm not going anywhere. So even though O'Neill is making a bad choice, Piccolo is at least going to go with him to help him out in whatever way he can. And Lucas notices right away what's going on. But to make matters worse, it's not just that he's taken a shuttle. He's heading straight for the Chaldai territory. Piccolo's like, this better be the prettiest woman alive. And of course, there's an almost immediate response from the Chaldai embassy. It's going way faster than a normal sub would be going. They're like, there's no way this could be her. This must be some sort of hypersonic missile or something. Which, I mean, I don't think you could go hypersonic underwater.
I don't know.
Like it seems like no matter how good your engines were, no matter how good you got your drag coefficients, the drag that water would create would be so intense that there's no way you could possibly go hypersonic. Which, I mean, just breaking the speed barrier or sound barrier. Piccolo's face, he's like, oh, we're screwed. And it turns out this is the girl that O'Neill was looking for. And she's asking for asylum from the UEO. She wants to defect away from the Chaldai dynasty. And Captain Hunt is like, Mr. Ford informs me that you were lured away for a date? And O'Neill's like, I can explain. He's like, no, you can't. And Piccolo tries to stick up for him, and Hudson's like, you better stow that. Or excuse me, you better belay that. You're in enough trouble as it is. You don't want to be caught up in this. Which, I don't know how many times I've had to tell my own children something like that. I'm in the middle of reprimanding one of them, and the other one jumps in. I'm like, do you want to be in trouble too? Like, what's your thought process here? And poor O'Neill, he just wants to meet his beau. Beau? Boo? What's the right... One of those. The doctor does a quick scan and she has, no radiation, no tracking devices, no communication devices on her that she can detect, at least. She says that if she has anything like that, it's nothing that I can personally detect. But she does have some sort of neural integration. And oddly, they are not being very receptive to a defector. Like, I would have thought they'd be a lot more, yes, we want you here. Yes, we're going to do what we can to help you. And instead, they're very antagonistic toward her. Hey, multi-gunman, you take care. And the defector says, the first thing she does is try to explain that there's no way possibly that O'Neill could have known where she came from. That she routed her communications through so many false relays. But she's here because she wants to defect and give them one of the Chaldai attack subs. And apparently she tried this once before, which makes you wonder how she wasn't taken care of before now. I guess they just detected a transmission and didn't track to her. But they tracked it to the Section 7 operative. And that's true, Thomas. She could be faking it. It just seems like if we had... Like, imagine if it was the height of World War II, and we had a top German scientist defect over, or even just like a top German soldier, went to defect, and was bringing with him plans for, what was the military advantage the Germans had on us at the beginning of the war? Jet technology. They would definitely, the Allies definitely would have taken the chance of getting them back to safety as quick as they could. But instead the UEO head guy, he's like, finish your patrol. Once your patrol is over, we'll send someone out to pick her up and bring her back to UEO territory.
According to Professor Brainy Specs, the actress was also in Babylon 5.
Oh. So, I really like what they're doing right here. Now, Lucas is giving a rundown of this attack sub. And it's definitely superior in a lot of ways to what the UEO has, but not in every way. They have an interesting and realistic balance of pros and cons for this ship. So it's clearly faster, but it has lighter armor. It has a much superior interface. The pilot actually has a neural interface, kind of like the episode Alice in Voyager, such that they can have much faster response time. But at the same time, they have no escape pod. So it's definitely one of those things where you either come back with the ship whole or you go down with your ship. Josh is saying, No British and Germans had jets within about a month of each other. Okay. I thought there was some technological advantage the Germans had first that we had to catch it.
V2 rockets maybe.
And Captain Hudson wants to know, what is she up to? And she's like, you haven't moved. I told you I wasn't going to give you any more information until you started taking me back to UEO territories. And she's letting them know that the Chaldai, they don't really do polite negotiations. She's letting them know that them blowing up the listening posts along the border is their polite negotiation of letting them know that they want her back. But instead of really addressing that, she goes on to explain. Did I get the name wrong? No, Captain Hudson. I got it right. That's his actual name. He's the one that I have been incorrectly calling Jellicoe. But I will not be calling him that tonight. Because I'm doing my best to get names right for this last one. So she's explaining what it takes to be one of the Chaldai top pilots. That only 3 in 10 pilots survived this procedure that she had to go through to get the interface done. It's an excruciating 10-day long procedure that they have to be awake for the whole time. Or excuse me, 6-day long procedure that they have to be awake for the entire time. And every touch of the doctor is just an endless eternity of pain. And yet still every pilot wants to have this because it is such a mark of prestige if you're one of the lucky few who gets this and survives it. And once you do, you get it wasn't a tattoo, but somehow they like scar your hands so that one hand had the Chinese symbol for life and the other one had the Chinese symbol for death. Professor, just make sure I get Lucas correct.
Meanwhile, Ford's trying to stick up for O'Neill.
Spice must flow.
Thank you, Joe Biden, for your donation. He says, when I become president of the EUO, that country will never dare threaten anyone. Hell, Kuroga, number 22. Oh, thank you, Joe. And I did like that Ford stuck up for O'Neill right there.
Yep, they've both been there since the beginning.
Yeah. The very beginning with the first lady captain.
Mm.
And this is a good dressing down O'Neill's getting right now. O'Neill really messed things up. And Hudson is giving him a very, very appropriate reprimand. And it started off with O'Neill leaving his letter of resignation on the desk. And Hudson was like, does that count? It might have counted. Hudson was like, get that out of here. I'm not letting you off that easily.
Yeah, quite a distinction from how Bridger responded when O'Neill tried to resign, eh?
Yeah. Well, take your time. Go do your arts and crafts stuff. Professor saying busted is definitely a half bust. It was definitely a half bust. So unfortunately, they didn't really search for clothing too well, and she had some sort of device just on it that she was able to use to come over here and place it on the camera to do who knows what.
Well, they did scan her, and they said they couldn't detect anything, so who knows what this thing is.
Yeah. I mean, they did mention that if she had something like that, she just couldn't detect it. So they look at the camera and they see her just sitting there, but she just I guess it was doing a quick relooping. Thomas would say, what's her name? Her name was Marilyn Stark. Oh, poor Lucas. She was able to slip through their security, get back to the launch bay door area, take out Lucas, and get away. So Hudson sends the lieutenant and O'Neill and Piccolo out. I really should. Okay, in my defense, they haven't said Lieutenant's name more than like 7 times through this season.
Yeah, it's also not like she has her name printed right in the front of her uniform.
Well, I mean, half the time you can't even see that part of the uniform. Fredericks, Lieutenant Fredericks. So Hudson is asking O'Neill to try and talk her down. And I'm not sure why Hudson thinks at this point they have any sort of relationship. Like, it seems somewhat plausible, probable that she was just pulling the wool over Tim's eyes this whole time. But I get her stance here. I mean, she defected, and instead of being treated like a defector that you want to get away from the enemy as quick as you can, they are sitting on enemy lines. Like, they're not even sending a sub to pick her up.
Yeah.
The UEO has like 0 interest in doing anything with her for some reason. So I get her mentality. So she's going to go off to Micronesia. She's like, look, I gave you a chance. You rejected all this. I'm going to go to somewhere that is going to protect me. I like the concept of the helmet, though. Like, I'm not sure if there's supposed to be a view screen on the inside, but I think it makes more sense for it to be a blast shield, like in Star Wars. Because you see her shut her eyes just before the shield goes down. So I think the point is to block out like visual stimuli such that you can rely entirely on the neural link. I mean, it's not like there's even a window that you can see on this sub. It's just a solid armor over the top. So for a minute, they forget that they are underwater, and Frederick starts complaining about not being able to hold the angle of ascent, as if the sub could stall. Now, maybe she can't hold the angle because if she kept going at that angle, she'd hit the surface of the water, and the sub just can't do that.
Yeah.
I'll give her the benefit of the doubt on that one. And just when they think things couldn't get worse, here's Micronesia, and they're able to get a lucky shot off and hit the Kimura. Hey, Daniel's Hot Topic. I have not seen the Batman yet, but neither have I seen the latest Spider-Man movie. But on that one, I've been kind of hoping that it will come out to Disney Plus. I mean, I'm pretty close to it at this point, aren't I?
Is it even going to be on Disney Plus since it's a Sony movie?
Oh, I didn't think about that. So this Micronesia guy calls him the Hero of Nexus. Did we see that this season?
I think Nexus was the that colony they were fighting over in the first episode.
Okay.
Don't lecture me on treaty violations. It's not I who surrender, it is you.
So they're posturing back and forth, and Ford comes up. He's like, excuse me, Commander, we are in firing range. Because the Micronesia captain, he's trying to say, hey, you're saying that these are your subs. I only see one UEO sub, and I'm here at the aid of the other one because you were clearly in an aggressive attack posture against them. So I'm here to help them. But the actions of Ford were just enough to get the Micronesia people to back down. And Thomas, I'm not saying that. He's saying, my name is Dolph Flair. I've defected from Germany. Hello, I'm Matthew. Welcome to America. Go out and enjoy yourself. I trust you because you defected. No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that if someone did defect, we wouldn't just sit there doing nothing with them. Like, powers that be would order them to get him back to an American base somewhere well away from enemy lines where he can be debriefed and interrogated. We wouldn't just sit there and not do anything. Now, unfortunately, when Kimura got hit, it kind of jumbled her neural stuff a little bit. So another downside of this technology has a lot of plus sides, does things that a normal attack sub couldn't do, but it also comes with some extra weight, such as her getting hit by the EMP missiles. Played a little funky with her brain there. And O'Neill, he's understandably upset. He's saying, you know, I trusted you and you used me. He's like, you did it to yourself, which pretty callous on her part.
Yeah.
She's saying, you just wanted a naive little farm girl who could speak 8 languages, and I gave that to you. It was your own fantasies that screwed you over. And that's some nice rationalization on her part, but it's completely bogus. Now, she does have a motivation for this. If you've watched Squid Game, she's kind of like the North Korean lady who managed to get out of North Korea. When she was 5, her parents tried to leave the Chow Dai dynasty. They got caught. Bad things happened. So it is a regime that is not only cut off from the rest of the world, but it's cut off in the sense that it's not even allowing its people to leave. It is the worst type of dictatorship. And Tim's like, well, I wonder at what point you decided that sacrificing my life was a better alternative than sacrificing your own, which I think that was a little blind on his part. Like, I'm sorry, you having a broken heart is pretty insignificant compared to anyone who has had to suffer a brutal regime their whole life and is trying to get away from it. Like, suck it up.
I mean, unless I think he may be talking about more than just that, like the fact that one, it probably may have ruined his life or his career, or they may even get killed if the war starts. But who knows?
Okay, well, the kill aspect, that's a little more fair. Red alarm. So here comes the Chodai dynasty. They're releasing their whatever it was named, the attack fighters. So in response, they're going to send out their 2 subs, Piccolo and Fredericks. And those attack subs, they just decimate the Macronesian ship. And this was an interesting thing that the American forces were able to do during the Cold War. Several times we would have kind of polite engagements in the air with Russians, and we were able to use our superior crafts to get victory solutions, so to speak, despite the fact that they had more. Like, we were able to do more with less than they were able to do with more physical aircraft. Which, it's interesting that they do this because, I mean, it's kind of the exact opposite in actuality, the way they presented it in the episode, where the Shaodai have the superior ships, much more maneuverable. But here you gotta see the escape pod. It's an interesting take because you can't just, pull the canopy and, there's your seat goes off into the air and parachute gently to the ground. It has to be a contained environment. But unfortunately, Fredericks, she doesn't get a chance. She sees what's about to happen and says, oh no, and that's it. Fredericks is gone. So Piccolo's taken out, but he was able to do his little escape pod thing, which is just a whole compartment he's in. And you can see here that they briefly got the engineers from Star Trek to wire up their consoles. There's a weird sound when I talk. I'm sorry, Thomas. That is the air vent above me. I do my best to use a filter to get rid of it, but it's not perfect. If I didn't have the filter on, it would be even worse. Is that any better? I just had it relearn the noise profile, so hopefully it won't be quite as bad. Hey, Trek Reviewer, how you doing tonight? But Kimura, she is willing to undefect. Yeah, like a train wheel squeaking. I think that's a good description of what it sounds like in here. But I mean, she sees that she doesn't want a huge world war to start up just because of her. So she's going to go back and sacrifice herself. And the Chaodai dynasty accepts her terms. You still hear the noise? Oh, wait, that's Matthew talking? Ha, 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 ha. Thank you. Thank you. You guys are the bestest. Have I told you that? So Neil, he asked for permission to escort her away. And she says, I hope you're not going to try and talk me out of this. He goes, I'd never. And he stuns her. Are you still here? I'm sorry. I did my best to get rid of it. I could turn the filter off and let you see what it would sound like just without it. It's rough. I know. So he sends her along, and that's it. They blow up her sub. It should be gone now. The heater turned off. Now the Chow Dai are leaving. Like, well, they got what they came for. They're done. Apparently, she never got on the ship, and there's something moving through Darwin's tubes. And it's O'Neill for some reason. I'm not sure why he needed to go swimming through the tubes. I think what they're trying to say is that somehow he was guiding the ship and then came back into SeaQuest through the tubes.
Yeah, I think that's the idea.
Is it 30 degrees where I am? It is, actually, yes, it is 36 where I am. So as part of her defection, she doesn't want to just defect. She's a soldier. She wants to be aboard the SeaQuest. And after all, they did just lose one lady pilot, so there's an opening. I mean, yeah, the Chow Dai sub is gone, but she still has all that expertise. And she talks about, you have a vacancy to fill, and Hudson doesn't take that statement too well.
Yeah.
I mean, Fredericks was his star pupil, and she did kind of have some bad phrasing with that. I mean, I don't think I could word it much worse. I know you lost your best friend and all, but hey, maybe I can be her replacement, even though I'm basically the reason she got killed. But they give her the go-ahead. The UEO secretary gives her permission and makes her a lieutenant commander, apparently. Bridger is handling this very well. Bridger is off like having Mai Tais somewhere. He doesn't care. They did a great job of making O'Neill look like a dork in this scene. I mean, those khakis going up to the belly button, nicely done. And Kimura kind of confesses to O'Neill. He says, look, I couldn't deceive you as well as I did unless there was something inside of me that actually did have feelings for you. And she's like, no one's that good of a liar. And O'Neill says, no, you are. Which, harsh, O'Neill.
But possibly true.
It could be. I mean, I get it. He's hurting, but this girl basically just came out and said, hey, I am genuinely interested in you, and he shut her down. Meanwhile, Hudson is going through Frederick's cabin. And Piccolo offers to come and help him, but he's like, "Oh, I'm done here." And that's nice because, I mean, Piccolo, he didn't get to spend much time with Fredericks, but he has been trained to be the attack pilot. We've seen him doing this over the course of several episodes ever since Brody died. No worries, Michael. It felt like an appropriate use of the caps. One day I will have a daughter and we will name her Michael. Is that the same actress? Was Fredericks Burnham's mom?
Not that I know of.
So that's it. That is the last episode ever of SeaQuest. And, I mean, that would have been an interesting twist. They set up a new villain because we'd kind of taken care of the Macronesia plotline, more or less. You had the Dion Industries guy. His plotline was wrapped up. And then you had the stuff with Macronesia going on. And it seems like they did a good job kind of bringing that to a close. And so to replace it, they bring in this new Chow Dai dynasty who is, you know, Macronesia seemed to be kind of an equal political power, but the Chow Dai seemed to be a greater power. Now, the only reason they weren't more of a threat is because they were such isolationists. So it would have been extremely interesting to see where this would have gone into a fourth season, but as you know, that's not what we got.
Yeah. And from one of some of the things I've read also, if the series had continued, eventually Bridger would have found his son, and that would have been a whole nother plot thread for them to unravel.
Yeah. Which, I mean, that was an interesting twist. The revelation that, we think he's still alive because that was such a huge deal that he was very dead.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of wish that they hadn't introduced that plot line. But since they did introduce it, I wish that we could have seen that go somewhere. I'm trying to look this actresses up real quick. Elsie Neal on IMDb, from Memphis, Tennessee. Let's see, known for several different things. I'm not seeing Discovery though, so I don't get your reference there, Michael. I mean, obviously the Michael reference is talking about Burnham, but I don't get if there's a different connection. But we discussed that. I need a shirt that says I don't get it.
True. Even have photographic evidence of it.
Which, if you don't get, you should be over on the Discord server. It's a fun place. And yes, Michael, there's a difference between mostly dead and completely dead. And
yes, his son was only mostly dead.
Bridger's son used to be completely dead, but somehow they upgraded him to only slightly dead. Oh, just that it was girl power. Okay. You just never can tell with me, Michael. I wouldn't be at all surprised that I was just missing the completely obvious connection that she was Burnham's mom. Of course, I also could see me assuming she was Burnham's mom and getting in trouble for that because my favorite Star Trek episode of TNG, Season 1, is Code of Honor.
It's true.
Well, what did you think about this last episode, John?
I liked it for the most part. I'm sure that doesn't come as a shock to anybody. I think that Chow Dai would have been an interesting, antagonist to develop over the course of the next season or whatever. So it was a shame they just kind of got cut off in the middle of the action.
Yeah.
And I like that there was an episode, focusing, on O'Neill, the dork. Because I can kind of sympathize with him in a lot of ways.
Yeah, and I guess when I stopped to think about it, they didn't do a whole lot with O'Neill's character this season. So I think that also could have been an interesting plot point going forward, because we did see that he and Hudson were not the best of friends, that O'Neill somewhat resented Hudson. He really didn't like the fact that he wasn't Bridger.
Yeah, when the one time that Bridger came back, O'Neill was firmly on Bridger's side. They were arguing about how to treat that contamination or something.
Yeah. Something. Like I could remember. I'm doing good to remember that the plot point happened.
Yeah.
Hey, Sci-Fi Nation, how you doing tonight? Long time no see. It was some sort of contamination episode. That wasn't the name of it, though. It may have been...
the name of the episode was Equilibrium.
Yes, that was it, because they made a big deal about having to find the equilibrium between doing nothing and overdoing. And also find the equilibrium of this bacteria in the water.
Mm-hmm.
It worked on multiple levels. That's the point I'm going for. Well, was there anything lackluster in this episode for you, John?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind is that there was no Darwin.
I mean,
It would make sense for that. Darwin could have come out and helped O'Neill at the end, get back in, since they were using his tubes after all.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe he was on vacation.
Visiting his mom that he recently reconnected with.
Something like that, yeah.
If she was still alive, that was 11 years ago.
True. I don't know how long dolphins live.
That's a great question. How long do dolphins live? 48 years.
Oh, well, there you go.
Female bottlenose dolphins have been known to live for more than 60 years. And dolphins up to 40 years old have given birth. So, yeah.
Nice.
That's where Darwin's been this season. His mom's been worried about him the past 11 years, and he's just been spending some quality family time and visiting Bridger every once in a while.
Oh, there you go, yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of catching up to do.
No plot holes at all around here. Beyond Darwin not being in it, was there anything else you found kind of...
Well, it's kind of odd, like you said, that they weren't more interested in bringing their defector back to a safer location. They just kind of sat there.
Mm-hmm.
You think they would have wanted more of just getting her to a safe place. I get that they didn't trust her, but still, it seems like just sitting there on the border wasn't the best option.
Yeah, that was weird, especially since the entire episode could have worked just as easily had they been like, okay, yeah, we're going to take her back. They literally could have done every single scene the same, with the one exception of her saying, we're not moving, and, well, you're not taking me seriously, so I'm leaving. And those with two minor tweaks could have been addressed. They could have just been like, we don't trust you. We're going to take you to a prison. And then that's when she's like, yeah, forget this. If you guys aren't going to treat me with respect, I'm going to go to Macronesia, where they will treat me with respect. And just with that one slight tweak, it would make a whole lot more sense. Instead of just being like, oh, you have just brought us all this technology on a silver platter. We're going to sit here right next to their, border. And yeah, they're blowing up other outposts, but that's not too big of an issue. Any other thoughts?
Just the general thought is I wish the show had continued further. That I always think there was more stories they could have done. at least finish the season, because this was kind of like they got canceled like 2/3 of the way through the season. I think they at least could have like wrapped it up. Some of these lingering plot lines that we talked about.
Oh, was it canceled early? I just assumed it was a short season.
Well, they canceled it, if I remember correctly, in January, but then they held back the last episode and aired it like around where the end of the season would be.
Huh.
But it wasn't a full season. Like a full season, like the first 2 seasons had like 22 episodes or something like that. So they just cut it early because the ratings were so low, apparently.
Yeah, that's weird.
As you notice, the episode before this aired in January, but this one aired in June of 96.
Okay. I was just looking at Wikipedia. There's a lot of fighting. Apparently the actor who played Brody hated an episode so much, the one entitled Alone, that he just walked off the set.
Yeah, I've read about that before.
Is that in season 2?
Yeah, that's the one with the telepathic doctor, and they're at that facility, and she has to go into that guy's mind.
Okay. And then yes, Rory Schneider he requested to be released. He wasn't happy about it. Then he played a couple more episodes. Brody did. They got rid of Ortiz, which I didn't notice that. Missed him. So yeah, Jonathan Brandis, Lucas, he was like the only character to be in, I think, every single SeaQuest episode.
Yep, he's the only one. Ford was in all except one, I think.
Yeah. And then I think Darwin was the next character to be in the most after that. O'Neill. Yeah.
O'Neill missed a few.
It was close. See, Ironside initially refused to take over from Schneider as the star of the series. Saw so many problems that I couldn't see where I'd be able to do the work I wanted to do. But he took it anyway.
Yeah, but he had a lot of creative control over the 3rd season. That's why I mentioned, for example, he wasn't really interested in Darwin, so that's why he got used less in the 3rd season.
And Jonathan Banks was apparently decided to be the lead actor. He appeared in the 1st season episode Whale Songs as a radical environmentalist. I'm glad they didn't go with him. That would have been a weird twist.
Yeah.
Yeah, the series was canceled after 13 episodes. And they just aired the last one on June 9th. Yeah, okay, wow. I'm shocked. So that is the roughest. That is the most rough ending for me to a series. Like, I understand that all good things have to come to an end, as they say. But I like it more when they're given advance notice. When they say, the writing's on the wall, you have X number of episodes, and then you're done. Mm-hmm. Because then you can really take the time to finish out the most pressing issues. But it does look like you were saying, John, that episode 13 came along and they said, that's it, we're done.
Yeah.
They would rather, I mean, you know those people had contracts, and they would rather pay the fees for breaking those contracts than they wanted to actually be like, we're just going to finish out the season. Like, they thought it was more financially viable to pay out those fees than to record 12 more episodes.
Yeah. I guess that's what they thought.
And Thomas is saying, Seabird, that's what canceled is.
Yeah.
And the best episode was the Ghost Ship.
The Ghost Ship, yeah.
It was an episode for sure.
There was no Dagwood in this episode either, so last week would have been his last appearance.
Oh, you're right. Stinks. I like Dagwood's character.
I do too.
I don't know, maybe I should save these thoughts for the season 3 retrospective, but it is interesting the subtle changes that the characters went through between season 2 and 3. I think the most smooth transition was Lucas's character. With him going from just, I'm here, my dad's thrown me here, and I'm just kind of serving out some penitentiary time, to, this is something I believe in, and I want to be a part of this, so I'm enlisting. And I feel like he had a very natural kind of transition. But Piccolo's was a little jarring, O'Neill's was a little jarring, but I think it paid off by this episode. I miss the dynamic that we got with Dagwood, Piccolo, and Lucas. Like, that was such a fun trio. And then O'Neill and Ortiz got in their time a couple times, but those were such fun episodes whenever it focused on them. Well, final thoughts here, John.
I mean, it was a pretty good episode overall. I just wish they had a more, planned out conclusion.
Yeah. Good final thoughts. Well, guys, we will be here next week at the same time doing our season 3 retrospective, where we talk about our favorite and least favorite episodes of the season. I believe we've done 3 in the past.
3 favorite and 1 least favorite.
Yeah, and I think that's what we'll strive for this time. A little less wiggle room, since it is only 13 episodes, but we're gonna do it, and I look forward to seeing what you guys have to say in the chat, and I look forward to seeing what John's favorites were, and frankly, I look forward to finding out what my favorite were as I look back for season 3 retrospective, and then we're going to be on a bit of a break until I figure out what my schedule going forward is, and we'll work from there, guys. Thanks for hanging out with us, and we'll see you next week.
Have a good night.
Thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please be sure to hit that like button and share it with your friends. If you haven't subscribed yet, I hope you will, and be sure to hit that bell icon to be notified of all the updates I do on this channel. If you want to support the work I'm doing here, then I hope you'll consider becoming one of my Patreons, where you'll get early access to all kinds of videos. And until the next time, may the Lord bless you and keep you. May he cause his face to shine upon you and be gracious to you. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. Amen.